and welcome back to the Water Online Show, powered by Water Online, the leading online destination for the water and wastewater market. I'm your host, Travis Kennedy, joined as always by my partner in crime and colleague, chief editor here at Water Online, Mr. Kevin Westerling.
What's up, Travis? Good to be here.
Oh, it's going to be an awesome show. One of the things that we have been dying to talk about, Kevin, and I know we have had discussions around it, deals with the topic of AI.
Of course, AI is everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
These days.
I mean, just to sort of set the table here. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a deep dive into one of the most promising advancements in utility operations, and that, of course, is the application of artificial intelligence for leak detection and pipe failure prediction. So we're actually making the switch from playing defense to playing offense when it comes to predictive analytics. So again, just to sort of set the table a little bit more, across North America, utilities are managing aging infrastructure with limited visibility into the system health. That's a problem. Traditional leak detection methods, acoustic surveys, pressure monitoring, and manual inspections, they do have their limitations in scale and precision at times. But AI, the machine known as AI, are rapidly changing that landscape. By integrating sensor data, SCADA inputs, historical break records, and GIS mapping, AI is now able to identify high-risk segments of the pipe before failure occurs. These predictive models use pattern recognition and anomaly detection to correlate subtle changes in the flow, the pressure, acoustic signals, giving operators real-time insights into potential leak zones and pipeline stress. Today, we're going to speak with Mr. Dave Brown with the Eastern Municipal Water District. Dave, thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind providing the audience with an introduction to the Eastern Municipal Water District and what your role is there.
Sure. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here. So Eastern Municipal Water District covers an area in West Riverside County, approximately 682 square miles, provides water, wastewater, and recycled water services to approximately 1 million customers. Eastern was founded back in 1950, actually, to help bring in Colorado River water to this area, and now acquires about half of its water from Metropolitan, from the State Water Project, and from California, or from the Colorado River Aqueduct. So my role here is I'm the director of maintenance, so I'm responsible for the water, recycled water systems, the lift stations, and all of our facilities. So a big part of that is our pipeline maintenance and repair. And as you mentioned, AI is helping us in that endeavor.
Well, yeah, certainly, Dave. Thanks for joining us. And I'm familiar with Eastern Municipal Water District from just reporting on the industry over the years. So I have the sense that it's a pretty innovative utility, and the fact that you're here talking to us now about that seems to verify that. So it's no surprise, really, that you have jumped onto the AI train. Of course, you would and should, because it's so helpful for operations. But can you describe to us just exactly how you're utilizing AI?
Sure. We've done a couple different projects with AI. One of them was with an irrigation basin a couple years ago, and it helped us with our energy efficiency on that. And it did help us. It was a trial that did help us reduce some of our energy costs with aeration basins. But the latest one is using VODA AI to help us with our pipeline condition assessment. So what that does is it helps us rank our pipelines with likelihood of fail, and help us pick the right projects at the right time with this. So really, it gives us three things. It gives us the ability to use leak detection and where to place it properly. It gives us the ability for our capital planning to identify what segments we want to do. And then it gives us our financial side the ability to plan for these. So we want to flatten that curve and kind of plan going forward as to how we're going to maintain our system.
Well, Dave, you know what's interesting about this is it's an age-old problem. So my colleague Kevin referred to it as the AI train, and it really is that specifically. It's coming down the pike. You see the headlight coming, and it's not going to stop. It's all speed, no brakes. And all utilities have dealt with at one time or continue to deal with issues like leaks, non-revenue water, and their pipeline networks. I mean, that is an absolute problem that all utilities face to whatever extent they do.
Yeah.
So how did EMWD use AI for that specific problem? And maybe talk a little bit about the results of that.
Well, that's kind of why we started looking. We started looking. I was looking a couple of years ago for some kind of a solution to help us perform a condition assessment without actually digging up pipe or without actually, that's the difficult part is all of our vertical assets. You can see them, you can touch them, we can tell you the condition of them, but we can't with our pipe that's in the ground. So we
Absolutely.
started looking for some different solutions, and Voda was one of the ones we came up with, and it's specifically related to water loss. Southern California, we have to really be mindful of water loss, and we're also trying to prevent catastrophic failures. So our hope is that as we're able to identify these pipelines, we can then follow up with the hydrant listening devices and the acoustics that you were mentioning to kind of help find these leaks when they're smaller and prevent this water loss, prevent outages with our customers, and making sure we're doing the best we can for our ratepayers, because that's our goal is to pick the right projects at the right time and reduce water loss, which reduce costs overall.
Mm-hmm. And so an AI program like that, and I guess any AI, relies on data inputs to sort of analyze the information. So what types of inputs are entered for you to get this predictive kind of maintenance sort of information? And do other utilities have just as much access to that? So in other words, can this be replicated like all across the country?
With the Western Municipal Water District or the Northern Municipal Water District?
The rivals.
Yeah, I believe it can be, but it depends. So we were fortunate because the people that worked here a long time ago started tracking leaks back in 2005. So we have a very good leak history in all of our pipelines from 2005 and on, and that's what really helped set up our success here. And it was actually, and I can go with that into that if you'd like to, but that's actually how we validated the pilot test. We did a pilot test with Voda, and we used our data to validate that. And so everything goes in there, all of our pipeline characteristics, all of our leak data, everything like that. Voda takes all that information. And the nice thing about this project was it was also a data cleanup tool for our pipelines, because we have a very robust GIS system, right? But when you're dealing with over 2,700 miles of pipe, you're going to have some gaps. Well, Voda found some gaps, and we were able to fill in those missing gaps, and it gave us a really solid solution.
Right. I mean, when we think about digital transformation in this market, one of the things that sometimes goes overlooked is the importance of a data cleanup. Like your return is only going to be as effective, as impactful as the data that you get back, and then what you do from an action item standpoint after that. In that action item list, there has to be some kind of data cleanup, because a lot of these systems and data systems and logs have been around for and been logging data for God knows how long. So this is not a new problem, but the way you're approaching it at the EMWD it seems to be the new way that everybody is starting to address these issues at their specific municipalities. I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about the a topic that here at the Water Online Show we've been discussing a little bit, which is the aging workforce, right? And it comes down to, are you able to learn and teach this seasoned, experienced workforce that historically has worked for municipalities? Are you able to teach them how these digital tools work and how to utilize them effectively to get the outcomes you want? So what is the learning curve for operators or management in this instance? And is AI something that requires special training or new, younger personnel? How intimidating is it? I mean, I don't even know where to start. So let's start with the learning curve. How does that sit with your current employee set?
It varies, and within a department or within a group, you're going to have people that have certain strengths, and they gravitate towards what they like.
In our
So,
group, Kevin has all the strengths. I'm just along. So I'm probably in this later group. So go ahead.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
so the people that you find the people that gravitate toward it that like that, and you can kind of work with them. So it's nothing that's too tricky. But I mean, sure, 10 years ago we had guys that didn't like cell phones. They didn't want to use cell phones at all.
Right.
It's a little bit more difficult to get them to get on a system, but there is an expectation. We utilize Maximo as our asset management program or our database. People have to be able to use that, and we're able to train staff on that. But we do focus on the staff that want to do it. They're looking for advancement, so they want to take on these extra duties. So we're able to find those. We've been very fortunate with finding members of staff that are able to do it, and we're also very selective on how we do this, right? Like we want to make sure when we get a program that we're not having to put a ton of input in it, like with VODA, or we're going for the acoustic devices on the hydrants. We don't want to listen to all the data and do all that. We want them to tell us where the leak is. We just need to be able to interpret how that looks and go at it. Now, as you go further on, like say if we were to go into motor current analysis, and they're looking at harmonics and the VFDs and on the motor, so we're finding out if the bearing's bad or something like that. That might take a little bit more advanced, but I think at that point, then we have a process engineer or somebody like that help interpret that data. But for the most part, what we're doing right now, we've been very fortunate. We have staff that want to learn it, that are excited about it and want to use it.
So you wouldn't classify it as being intimidating really at all. You were able to find the personnel that were not intimidated by it, but actually anxious to dive into it. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it is. And like I said, it's not for everybody, but you can find groups of people that'll do that. And as you hire, you always hope the next person you hire is going to, like when I go, I want the next person to be better than me and improve on what I'm doing. And that's what we try to do too, is make sure we're always backfilling with more experience and trying to learn more from what we had before.
Right. So staying on that labor issue for a second, you just described how, you can teach people to use it and how comfortable they are using it. But there's a larger discussion about a lot of people are worried about how good it is for the workforce in general, particularly people in those roles. They don't want AI taking their jobs, right? So in your experience, have you run into that? Does it actually help or hurt as far as the workforce and maybe the morale and all that?
What I can speak to is the operations and maintenance field. So for us, let's talk about VODA. So we're going to use these hydro devices to find leaks. We're going to need another crew to go out and find all those leaks because we've got our normal workload. Now we're going to be finding additional leaks. So for maintenance, I don't see it eliminating work. Eastern's kind of in a unique place right now. We just had our 75th anniversary, but we're only 40% built out. So we have new growth, and we have aging infrastructure that we've got to work on. So for us, it's not been my experience that for maintenance staff or operations staff, it's going to replace staff because you need the boots on the ground to make the things work, to make it work. Let's say you have motor current analysis and it says the bearing's bad. Well, someone's got to pull that motor and send that out. All they're doing is helping us be a little bit more predictive on how we're doing it. And the approach in the past, especially with pipeline maintenance, is reactive. Well, that's what drove us to VODA. We want to be proactive. We want to find these things before we have outages, before we have all these issues, and take care of them where we can plan them and schedule them. That's kind of the goal. So I could see where some professions that you can do Microsoft the Copilot, and you can do all kinds of things that before you used to hire a certain person to do. But when it comes to maintenance and operations, I don't see it because it's just more tools for us to use to make us more efficient.
Yeah, maybe I should be more scared there with a writing job.
I think your job is well established and safe,
All right.
Kevin. Our readers anxiously await your latest drop in terms of content and articles around water and wastewater. And that's what we do here at Water Online. So we serve basically the same customers that utilities do. We serve them with information, and utilities at its core, they're there to serve the public. They're ratepayers, right? Those are your customers. So while we're on the topic of AI, what advantages can AI bring about for your ratepayers, your customers?
Well, I would say the first things I would talk about specifically for pipeline is reduction in water loss, making sure on our capital projects, we're spending the right amount of money on the right project and not doing the wrong project. And for finance, it helps us better budget what we're going to do going forward. So we envision AI helping us with our asset management program, tying that in and finding things for us in the future. Like if we see multiple failures, it can dig through the data better than we can to try to locate these things. So all those things can be cost savings to our ratepayers. All those things make us more efficient. All those things reduce our outages, which is what we want. We don't ever want to have an outage. We don't ever want to put something out of water or spill sewer and end up in the paper. We're trying to avoid all of that. So it's another tool for us to do that. And for our ratepayers, it's going to make sure, like, once we're able to, we're working on the government's policy right now for this and really trying to implement this. So how we're going to do this going forward, because you can't willy-nilly implement AI and hope it's going to work. You have to have some kind of a committee and a plan. but I could see it with chemical dosing. My background, I was a control tech, and
Yeah.
so I dealt with a lot of controls. We can do a really good job tuning PIDs and making sure we're dosing the chemical properly, but we can't do as good as AI, who can, check for diurnal flows, things like that. We're not going to be able to meet that. So I can definitely see some improvements there in cost savings directly to our customers.
Customers like cost savings. I don't know if you
Yes,
have that in your strategic outline, but yeah, customers
absolutely,
love.
absolutely.
The other thing they do love too, Dave, is transparency, right?
Yes.
Transparency in what they're paying for, and AI provides that. It
Yes.
provides the kind of information that solidifies the data of what it is that you're reporting, whether that be for water loss or the amount of water that they're utilizing or
Mhm.
receiving or whatever the case is. So it really helps the utility with their legitimacy and their
Yeah.
transparency in their rates, in their billing, in their customer service. All of those things all tie into how this is really benefiting the ratepayers. Does that ring true in your mind?
Absolutely. Transparency is key for us. I mean, that we want to be 100% transparent. If you look on our website, it's one of the first things you'll see is transparency of who we are and what we show. Our budgets are on there, all of that. So yeah, certainly AI can help us with that. We have our automated meter reading program, and I know that with customer service and things along those lines, AI is definitely a tool that we can use going forward. It's going to help us.
Yeah. So speaking of that, with the success of this program, you did mention where you think it might be useful, i.e., chemical dosing. I think you mentioned earlier about another place where you're actually using it. What are you instituting AI into more operations, and if so, which ones?
We've only done one other trial at this point for an aeration basin at one of our wastewater plants, and it was successful. I don't think it was, I don't know how successful it was, but I know we had energy savings, and I know it was successful. And we're looking at that moving forward to see where else we can implement that. But our assistant general manager, Matt Melendrez, is really pushing us to try to reach out and look for these different and new ideas and where we can use AI going forward to make us more cost efficient. We want continuous improvement, and this is definitely an area where we can speed that up.
So I believe what you're telling us is, Dave, you are like other utilities in that you're not an overfunded utility. We have yet to come across a utility that's
No,
overfunded. So we want to
no.
be smart with the dollars that we have to serve
Yes,
the public, right?
yes.
With AI, I just want to put a bow on this. And whenever Kevin and I put a bow on a particular subject, we always like to look towards the future. So with that being said, what do you envision as far as the potential for AI to solve some of our biggest industry issues? What's your hope for it in the future? Do you foresee it playing a role in solving some of the other issues separate and distinct of leak detection and water loss, where it may come into play to help not just utilities, but the ratepayers that they serve?
Yeah, it could be across the board. I mean, it's incredible. Actually, I had a list here kind of some different ones, but
Yeah.
the customer service side, like you talked about transparency, that would be huge. I'm really looking forward to it on the asset management side because we have a lot of data, a lot of condition assessments that are done. Just compilating all that data and going with that is going to help us be more efficient. Financially, it can help us forecast better. We have our remaining useful life curves, things like that. It can help us come up with a budget to be able to flatten those curves and keep our rates more stabilized over a period of time versus hitting one year with a big increase and the next year dropping it off. We want
Yeah.
nice stable rates for our customers. I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, you did. You absolutely did. But it also popped another question into my head. So you did such a good job answering that now I have another one. What I'm curious about is for our listeners out there, many of which work for utilities.
yes.
Kevin and I spent a lot of time also talking about around the question of what is the most logical first next step. So if you have a utility out there that is at least considering looking at AI as a possible solution to some of these issues, whether it be leak detection, water loss, customer service, those types of things, what would you recommend they do as a first step as they go down the path of exploring AI as a possible solution to some of their problems?
I would. You obviously need to identify what you want to put it to. So, like for instance, for
Yep.
both, we knew we wanted pipeline condition assessment. We started down that task. We did interviews and different things and kind of research to see if they had what we want. We had clearly defined goals we wanted to meet.
Right.
And then we did a pilot test. I would recommend you do a pilot test with whatever you're going to do and have some kind of data you can withhold.
Yeah.
So for instance, for our leak detection, we withheld 2023 leak data, and VODA had to predict 50% of our leaks in the top 20% of the most likely to fail pipelines.
Yeah.
And they did better than that. They predicted 73% in the top 20%. That for us gave us the confidence to move forward with it, take it to the board, present it, public can see it. We're transparent. We prove this technology, but I think definitely the technology has to be a proven thing. And as we're moving forward with our governance policies, I think you need that too, because otherwise, people say, "Oh, this is great. Let's just implement this at the plant. And we'll see what this does to the process." And you've got things out of control, and you can have some issues. It needs to be a very methodical approach when implementing this, because it is such a new thing, and it's still, I mean, really untested. A lot of it, depending on what they're doing. We could be somewhat of the testing grounds, all the municipalities and utilities.
I do want to ask one more question on that note. So Kevin and I have heard a lot about the increase in cross-departmental collaboration when it comes to finding a solution to a problem. So when historically, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and even beyond that, there was a person at a municipality that somebody would indicate as like the decision maker for pumps and the decision maker for contaminant removal and decision maker for digital once we got to that point. But what we're finding is through discussions with other utilities that one point of contact really doesn't exist. It's a thing of the past. What utilities are doing more and more is you're taking input from all different departments of the utility, and everybody's sort of rowing the boat together and working towards the same solutions for the problems that the utilities face, even if it isn't in their area of expertise. There's a whole bunch of, there's a high increase in cross-departmental collaboration related to the purchasing of solutions and the implementation of solutions for our issues, regardless of what they are. Does that hold true with EMWD?
Absolutely. Our general manager, Joe Mawad, has made that clear that we are to work with other groups. And I'll give you an example. We're still doing the full implementation of VODA. Yesterday, I met with Water Planning and Resources, our engineering group, and our CIP engineering group to discuss how we're going to implement this, who's got what roles. That's with everything. So when we decided we were going to go with VODA as an AI thing, it included our engineering department, our planning department, because they're a big part of that.
Yeah.
My part is just really leak detection, but we have to do that. We have to find those solutions. So oftentimes, let's say we have something that's not performing or a pump that's not performing, we will reach out to engineering and have them help us select a pump. And we're going to give them ideas and say, "Hey, here's what we think will work. What do you think?" And then we work together as a team. You have to, or you're not going to be successful. I mean, we have to work together as a group. And then internally within the business, we all have our customers, right? So when we're going to engineering, we're kind of their customer, they're helping us. And then vice versa, if they're doing a project and need information, we're helping them. And if you look at it as kind of that as a customer support role, even internally within maintenance within the departments, it really helps you get the results you want that you're looking for going forward. You need that teamwork. And we have so many smart people here. You have to use all the knowledge that's there. You can't have it all up here on yourself. You have to depend on other people to help you through the process.
Without a doubt. It's really refreshing to see utilities move towards a more team approach to making these decisions, because the ramifications of the decisions are pretty wide reaching. So seeing that migration is refreshing. Wow. Dave, we covered a lot here, haven't we, in the past half hour?
Yes. Yeah.
Kev, man, oh man, anything else to add or to ask Dave while we have him?
No, I mean, I would just comment that it's kind of like very exciting for the future, this whole AI era. We're so early in it, but I mean, we've been talking about old infrastructure for going on decades, and it was like an unsolvable problem. Sure, you try to fix 2% if you're lucky per year, whatever. But I mean, we have other big issues, water scarcity, contamination, this and that. But like human ingenuity and technological development, where AI is gone, it's just amazing to see how we're coming up with, now we have hope for all these problems to do it in a cost efficient way. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. Well, I mean, even Dave touched on it in terms of the specific that he mentioned is you can't see what's under the ground before, without digging it up and seeing if there's a leak at this particular spot in it. But what digital transformation does, what acoustic leak detection does, what what AI can do is they're able to identify where those areas are with a high amount of accuracy. So you don't have to dig up everywhere and you have an entire neighborhood looking like the golf course from Caddyshack, right? When Bill Murray's trying to get the groundhog, there's just, gaps everywhere in the turf. So we've come a long way in a very short period of time. And what we're hearing is, as it relates specifically to AI, is it's exciting. It can help solve a lot of problems. Take steps, though. Don't take giant leaps with it. I don't know, Dave, if you would agree with that, but
100%, 100%.
The steps matter. The leaps
can get out of hand.
It can get you out of hand a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Well, Dave, I appreciate you spending your time here with us, sharing the experience with Eastern Municipal Water District. It is a topic that Kevin and I have been very excited to cover. So we appreciate you spending some time here with us in the Water Online universe. So thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
And for all of you out there, thank you for spending your time here with us on the Water Online show. For Kevin Westerling, I am Travis Kennedy, and we cannot wait to welcome you back next time.